Hi, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the Vet Method podcast. My name is Sanjay Mangabai, and I'm here in the wonderful cathedral city of Salisbury in the southwest of England. And today, I'm very delighted to be joined by Brandon Boyd. Hi, Brandon, welcome.
Hey Sanjay, how's it going? I'm glad to be here.
So whereabouts are you today?
So I'm in Birmingham, Alabama. That's where my agency is, and
Mhm.
I've lived in Alabama my entire life.
Have you?
Yes.
Okay, so you haven't got an itch to wander further afield or do anything different like that?
Oh, look, I've always had the itch. My wife doesn't have the itch.
Good
Yeah,
reason.
she
Absolutely
has
good.
all her family. She has all her family in Birmingham, and that's a battle that I really don't want to fight.
No, and I think community is important anyway. So
Yeah.
fantastic. So a little bit about Brandon. He is a marketing engineer that helps veterinarians and vetrepreneurs implement and manage high return on investment in marketing campaigns and strategy by using data analytics and creative content created specifically to pet owners.
Mhm.
So the title of the podcast is Dominating Digital for Local Exposure. And we're going to talk about that for the next few minutes. Okay, Brandon, our time starts now. So
Yeah.
let's start with question number one. Who is your ideal client?
So my ideal client that I love to work with are coin the term vetrepreneurs, which means veterinarians, pet care center owners, or anyone that works within the veterinary space that's looking to grow further than what inflation says. So that
Okay.
could be a mobile clinic, that could be a vet practice that wants to grow
Mm-hmm.
30, 40% a year instead of 10% a year,
Mm-hmm.
or they want to start a a roll up company and they're looking to expand their revenue just
Mm-hmm.
to prove of a proof of concept in order to
Okay.
purchase other practices in order to grow another practice as well.
Okay.
Mhm.
Fantastic. And I like the word. So you've coined vetrepreneur.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'll have to add that to my glossary of terms. But so,
Oh,
so basically, your ideal client is any veterinary business, veterinary practices,
yeah.
maybe even pet shops, and groomers,
Yeah.
etc., who I would imagine who recognize the need to grow their client base and revenues,
Yeah.
um, and through greater sort of digital visibility and exposure.
Yeah. And that's why I use the term entrepreneur
Hmm.
because as a business owner and an entrepreneur totally are two different sides of the same coin, really. Entrepreneurs looking for growth, entrepreneurs looking to expand and
Hmm.
to, if I can use the word conquer,
Hmm.
part of their conquer market share. And
Yeah.
so veterinarians by nature, that from what I've seen, they love what they do,
Yep.
but they don't really want to go outside their scope of comfortability. But there are a lot of veterinarians that have that entrepreneur itch, and
Yep.
those are the ones that I love to work with.
Fantastic. That's an important distinction. Thank you. Okay, so let's go to question number two. What's the biggest problem your clients face, and how do you help them solve it?
So one of the biggest problems that I see veterinarians face is they are great veterinarians,
Hmm.
but when it comes time to grow their business through marketing and grow their business through data,
Hmm.
they really struggle with that
Yeah.
uh, because you are taught not to compete,
Hmm.
but to collaborate more as a veterinarian. But
Hmm.
in business, it's all about competition. So meshing and mixing those two together is the
Yeah.
problem that I help solve because I'm
Okay.
all about community,
Hmm.
but I'm also all about you as a business owner growing
Hmm.
your business to its fullest potential. So
Absolutely.
if you have a service and if you have a product that's great for the market, but you're afraid to push it and you don't want your hands in that, then that's where we come in. That's where we use data to show, okay, which demographics love your product, which demographics love your service. And
Hmm.
then we use our content creation model to cater content specifically to probably two or three major demographics to
Hmm.
push your product out.
Okay. Fantastic. So you're absolutely right. Vets are good at being vets. They get, I would be safe to say, no training in marketing
Yeah,
at
yeah, yeah,
all. Um, in vet school, and yet they end up setting up these veterinary businesses.
Yeah.
And that seems to be antagonism and some kind of antagonism to the compassion that we are trying to achieve for pets and clients. But at the same time, like you say, we've got this competition, and that
Hmm.
just doesn't sit sometimes comfortably with most vets. And when they try and do the marketing themselves, yeah, I can see all the problems. Okay, that's an important problem. Great. Question number 3. What are the typical symptoms that people experience with that problem? Their pain points.
Yeah. So one of the biggest problems that I notice, and this is just with businesses in general that I work with before veterinarians, but they
Hmm.
have a term for it in the vet space called compassion fatigue.
Okay.
Compassion fatigue is more catered towards, you don't want to be around you feel almost numb to the care that you wanted
Hmm.
with your practice. One symptom of that is you're not getting your just value for being a doctor.
Hmm.
So one way that we help solve those problems is we handle the marketing. We actually handle more revenue coming through the door. So you don't have to focus on a major aspect of your business. You don't have to
Hmm.
focus and use that mental strength to try to solve a problem that you're not really trained to solve.
Hmm.
So that's what we take away. So you don't have this full cup, this full vessel of stress. You have enough to just to take a breath. So that's the
Absolutely.
main problem that we solve. And then, of course, we with marketing, we bring in new clients, new pet parents through the door, and that helps you eventually be able to use basic microeconomics. The more time that you spend with clients, the
Hmm.
more you could actually charge for your services to diminish the amount of time that you spend. So you're going to eventually increase your revenue, increase your profit margin, but
Hmm.
still have more time in
Hmm.
order to just defragment yourself and just to take a deep breath at the end of the day.
You're absolutely correct. And you touched on compassion fatigue, and that obviously is one of the issues surrounding the problems, well, we have in veterinary medicine around mental health. Big
Yeah,
problem with mental health at the moment, the
yeah,
stresses, the distresses that we
yeah,
have, and how to deal with them.
yeah,
And one of your solutions is vets can't do everything. They need to stick with what they're good at, what their genius is,
yeah,
and leave the people who are good at marketing and other things, leave it up to them, outsource it.
yeah,
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 so that you can focus on revenue generation, which is what you're supposed to be doing, the actual consulting, the actual treatment of animals and
yeah,
pets. That's so important. Brandon, I can tell you that I had a practice for over 20 years,
hmm,
and how things have changed. I trained as a vet, and that was good enough. You put up your plate,
yeah,
Dr. So and so, and great. Clients came, the
yeah,
community was small. Then two or three other practices opened.
yeah.
In my location, there were 7 practices eventually within a mile,
Wow,
within 2 miles of each other. Then
wow,
the internet came along. Oh, I
yeah,
didn't know anything about a website. Now I had to be now I had to have a website.
yeah,
Then social media, internet and social media kicked in, and suddenly I had to have a Facebook page. Oh,
yeah,
it's just become so complicated. And you're trying to be a vet at the same time and have great patient care, and
yeah,
and all those high standards that come with that, and maintain the practice. And I did see the light eventually and start
yeah,
outsourcing all those things, you know.
yeah.
So that's a really important point. Thank you for that, Brandon. So, question number 4: what are the common mistakes that people make when trying to solve that problem? The things they thought might work, the things they try but fail.
So the there are two major things that I see. First, the the veterinarians try to learn it themselves,
Ah,
and so they try to become a master of marketing as well as the philosopher of of veterinary science, right? So they
yes.
try to master two totally different mindsets, and it causes stress. It really does. And then once they realize that's not their genius, as you used earlier,
Mhm.
they try to, and I understand why, but they try to go as cheaply as possible
Ah,
with
yes,
the help.
yes.
And so they choose, they have like an office worker that may have a social media page, and
Mm-hmm.
then automatically, okay, you have a social media page, you have 1,000 followers, you have a 600 followers, 1,000 follower person, you are the person that's going to run all of my social media. You're the person that's going to be the marketing expert with the practice.
Mm-hmm.
And just having a social media page does not constitute you as a marketing expert, which
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, you don't see a return on investment of what you put into your marketing, which sort of re which sort of makes the veterinarian think that this type of marketing doesn't work when it's
Mm-hmm.
proven time and time again that it works if done right. But if you have someone that's not capable of bringing your return on investment, either with someone that's not an advertiser doing advertisements and posting, so
Mm-hmm.
you're not getting a return on investment there. You spend $3,000 a month and you don't get one call, or
Mm-hmm.
you don't have any automated systems set up to
Mm-hmm.
where you can actually screen calls or send information or send some type of email
Mm-hmm.
campaign
Mm-hmm.
back then with a calendar system to automatically set appointments,
Mm-hmm.
or you have a social media page where you're not really pushing out the positives of why you should be why a new pet parent should come into your clinic. And so
Yeah.
you have either the vet try again, just to reiterate, either the vet tries to do it themselves and they realize how hard it is and how deep the rabbit hole goes,
Mm-hmm.
or they designate someone that's not experienced, that's not a marketer, but just has a social media page,
Mm.
and they designate them as their social media people.
Yeah. For those listening, I've been smiling and nodding because all the things you talked about, I did those things. I made those mistakes, really, sometimes because, revenue doesn't keep pace with our expectations a lot of the
Yeah.
time. So we try and do things on the cheap. And I think vets are hardwired to think that they can solve a lot of problems. Maybe because we
Yeah.
work with more than one species, I don't know what it is. But, if the fridge breaks down, I'm trying to fix the fridge as well.
Yeah.
Or I'm trying to
Yeah.
fix something else. But you
Yeah.
can't do that with
Yeah.
your digital marketing, with your social media. And you're right.
Yeah.
I got a nurse who had a Facebook page, and I thought I was doing well.
Yeah.
And then, a few months down the line, they stopped they stopped updating it and putting new posts and stuff.
Yeah.
And so we, didn't have a strategy.
Yeah.
Absolutely no strategy. You just thought, I
Yeah.
better have something. I better have a website.
Yeah.
Better have a Facebook page. And I
Yeah.
learned long ago that an ounce of strategy is worth a ton of hard work. And
Yeah.
vets team, they try and solve problems by working harder,
Yeah.
rather than working smarter. And I hope I'm not offending any vets. So at least that was my experience, and that was me.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
in case. Fantastic. Okay. So let's go on to question number 5. What is one valuable free action that someone listening to this can implement that will help them solve that problem or problems? What's your top tip?
So my top tip for to help solve that problem would be to if you are I'm gonna use a term in Alabama called penny pinching.
Okay.
If you are penny pinching and
Yeah.
you're on a strict budget just because you are a new practice, or your practice is taking a hit just because of competition,
Mm-hmm.
um the free action I will take if you are distinguishing someone or you're doing it yourself is to create more content by telling stories on what you do day to day.
Okay.
And I say that because I speak to probably 5 or 6 veterinarians every day,
Mm-hmm.
and the stories that are being told to me are some of the most amazing stories, the most captivating stories
Mm-hmm.
that I have heard. And if they would just record those stories
Mm-hmm.
and transcribe them, and have the social media person that you distinguish to
Mm-hmm.
just put a halfway congruent free photo of to that story,
Mm-hmm.
it would bring immense traffic and immense brand awareness to your clinic.
Absolutely. So, what I'm getting from that is that try and increase your content
Yeah.
mainly by telling stories about your practice.
Yeah.
And I know that everyone nice cute pictures these days, but it's fairly common of puppies and kittens and things like that. But vets have this unseen bias in that they think that the ordinary is not interesting. They want
Yeah.
the, they want the dagger stuck in the chest, or a dog
Yeah.
having swallowed a big knife or something, and they think that's interesting. But really, what I found, at least in our practice, is that
Mhm.
the ordinary things were interesting to clients. You just got to
Yeah.
capture that picture or that story, and then just tell it. And they were
Yeah.
captivated by the ordinary a lot of the
Yeah.
time. Absolutely, very good tip. Thanks, Brandon. Let's go to question number 6. Only 2 questions to go.
Okay.
What is what is one valuable free resource that you can direct people to that will further help with that problem?
All right. So one resource that I have that I try to create list of what I do, so simple that I can hand it off to someone that's not as expert, that doesn't have as much expertise as I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I created a checklist, and it's on my website. It's free. Just put in your your name and your email
Mm-hmm.
address, and you can download it. It's at vetandpetseo.com / I think it's veterinary marketing checklist or ultimate marketing checklist.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it is a 16, 17 point checklist of things you can check just to see if your website and your search engine optimization is at very least gatekeeper quality,
Mm-hmm.
which means that Google won't ding you for the type of content, type of page you put out.
Mm-hmm.
And it also gives you tips on how to make your content more compelling towards social media and just to keep brand congruency across all platforms.
Fantastic. So that's a really good resource, and I love checklists. You know,
Yeah,
saves me from remembering stuff and having a
yeah,
good resource that I can refer to. We'll definitely pop that link onto the resources associated with the podcast. Okay,
okay. Thank you.
fantastic. And finally, question number 7. What's the one question, Brandon, that I should have asked you that I failed to do?
So the one question I think that you should have asked is how to play the local game when you have so many roll up veterinary practice companies coming into these small local areas.
Ah,
and
yes.
and you can't really compete on budget because these are multi tens and sometimes $100 million
Mm-hmm.
roll up companies. And
Mm-hmm.
so that marketing budgets are almost unlimited compared to what you can push.
Yeah.
um and of course they have marketing teams that create content, and they seem to just pop up everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, the one way that a local practice can compete
Mm-hmm.
is garner the power of your relationships.
Ah.
So that means good, getting your Google reviews, getting your Yelp reviews, reaching out to past clients, keeping your past clients top of mind. So when new companies come in, new practices come in that have this unlimited budget to push out ads,
Mm-hmm.
they every time they see their ad, they will think about you.
Yeah.
They will see one of the major companies as a bad thing compared to you. And I
Mm-hmm.
say that coming from a country town that had a
Mm-hmm.
Walmart move in, and we
Yeah.
had all these small, the country Dollar General and Dollar Trees, and then we had like the local like grocery stores as well.
Mm-hmm.
When the Walmart came into our area, the first thing that you heard from all the loyal fans were, "Oh, we're not going to Walmart because I have this store that I always go to. I have this store that I always go to." And
Yeah.
so that's a way to keep competition from outside companies at bay, but and still grow your practice in the midst of that type of
Wow.
competition. Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad I didn't ask you that question, so you could ask it yourself. Thank you so much, Brandon. But when you make an important point, I think in modern day veterinary medicine, it is all about the relationships that you pointed out to.
Yeah.
It's developing and maintaining those relationships. And I'm a little embarrassed to tell you that I was one of those people that said, Facebook, where's the return on investment? Yeah, I'm going to
Yeah.
spend so many £100 a month, and I'm getting all these Facebook likes. But
Yeah.
but then someone pointed out to me, and I saw the evidence of engagement.
Yeah.
Engagement was about developing those relationships.
Yep.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
once you develop that relationship, then the clients become bonded to your practice, even
Yep.
the ones that have never been to your practice. But when they
Yep.
need veterinary care, then you're the name that crops up, like you said. You're the name they'll think of
Yep.
because you've already got an established
Yep.
relationship, even though it's an online one. So,
Yeah.
and then return on investment comes back in a roundabout way,
Yeah.
for me in that particular example, anyway.
Oh yeah. Because at the end of the day, social media is nothing but an amplifier of
Yeah.
what you already have. So if you have good content, if you have great relationships, and you already have a great communication and content model,
Hmm.
social media and running ads on social media just amplifies what you've already done, what you've already proved to work to
Yeah.
a much bigger audience.
Absolutely. And one other thing I just thought about when you said that you got to keep it local, I also realized that I don't have to be the best in the country. I just need to be the
Yeah.
best in my community.
Yeah.
I need to have the most presence in my community, at least for
Yeah.
me. Like when you're running away from a bear that's chasing you, you just got to run faster than the slowest person.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And most vet practices that we work with, and even
Yeah.
some of the mobile vets that we work
Yeah.
with, only have about a 15-mile radius.
Yeah.
So I mean, you don't have to be the best in the biggest city. You just have to be the best in that 15-mile radius that you service.
Absolutely. And with help from
Yeah.
with somebody like you, just to get it right, so that you've got some strategy and you've got a plan of how to do that, and somebody can
Yeah.
help you implement it, then that should become a reality.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks, Brendan. You gave us some really, really valuable insights into dominating digital for local exposure. And we talked about how it might be possible to thrive
Yeah.
with your digital presence, and we also talked about return on investment,
Yeah.
and having some marketing strategies. I'm sure our listeners will take away some really useful tips, and I just want to say once again, thank you, Brendan, for taking the time to talk to us.
Hey, Sanjay, thank you so much for having me on. I enjoyed it.
Fantastic. Cheers.